Hi, Arvind. How are you?
Hi, Rajat. I'm doing very well. Thank you so much.
Good to know that. So, how's been the week?
Week has been very good. It's been an interesting week as usual, and we're already in December right now, and really looking forward to the end of the year, celebrating an end of the year, and moving into the new year. So, looking forward to both of those things.
Okay. Anything special planned?
Yes, I do have a vacation planned at the end of the year, and we have a ritual of going out for New Year somewhere. So we're planning a road trip this time. So hopefully it might. Looking forward to it already. From Christmas onwards, we're off. So looking forward to that.
Okay. You love road trips?
Yes, I do. I think road trip is not something that we have done all these years. So this is going to be the first time. I really like a road trip. I just didn't have the opportunity, but this time we got it. So looking forward to that.
Okay, so enjoy your road trip.
Thank you, Rajat. Thank you.
Okay, so we have around 20 minutes today.
Okay.
And whatever we speak will be confidential.
Sure.
What do you want to talk about?
So I want to talk about, this is something which you're aware of. This is about my book reading habit.
Mm-hmm.
There was a time when I wasn't even reading books in the first place, and it took some time for me to kind of get into that. Now I've gotten into the habit. I have started reading, but it's a very slow process. But I'm enjoying the slow process. However, I feel I haven't kind of done justice to the whole book reading itself, because there are topics which I'm reading halfway, and it's not fully settled for me yet. And I'm trying to figure out how I could kind of complete all of those. And I'm also realizing that more and more I'm learning a lot. More and more topics are coming up.
Mm-hmm.
So the old topics are still yet to be left out. And while I have new topics added, the list seems to be going on, and I haven't really done justice to the whole reading. So I don't know how to do it.
Okay. So this is what I'm hearing. So you started on reading books, which is something that you don't do usually.
Mm-hmm.
And there are books that you started, but you haven't completed them.
Mm-hmm.
And you said, I'm not doing justice
Mm-hmm.
to the books, and I'm not settled yet.
Right.
Okay. So I'm wondering, what do you mean by doing justice?
Doing justice to the process of a book reading. I think if you take a book, you would want to kind of take it, make sure that you are reading it thoroughly and understanding the concept, and finishing it, and then moving on to the next one, right? But in the past few months, there have been various needs for me to get into different topics, and I had to kind of keep myself updated on what those topics could mean. So I ended up picking up that topic, started reading it, went to a certain extent. Then I said, okay, I'll finish it a little later. But by which time another topic came in, so I had to pick that up. So now everything is, lying in, different areas. Very interestingly, I seem to be very happy that I'm reading multiple topics at the same time. That's another enjoyment that I'm kind of getting. But I guess there is a need for me to, hey, if you started something, complete that, and then move on. Why would you want to get into multiple things?
Sure.
And so that's where the justice part is coming from.
Okay. And you use the word read thoroughly.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean?
Read thoroughly is okay. So the topics that I'm reading now these days are not like fiction that you just read off and you're finished. You like a nice story and you read it and you're done about it. These are topics where there's a lot of self-reflection involved. I'm in the path of coaching. This has been one of the most enriching years for me. I want to enrich myself constantly. While there is one side of me which says, okay, you will get these topics in your own way and you will be able to kind of learn it. That is definitely there. However, when you have an opportunity to read a book, right, you have been able to get all the books also, whatever you need. You have the topics, you have everything ready, you've downloaded ebooks, you have a Kindle at home, and you are reading them, but you don't seem to be finishing them. What is this all about? So that's a question I'm posing to myself. And that's leaving me in with not a great feeling.
Okay. So I understand the concept of you trying to finish.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also hearing the concept of saying it's not science fiction.
Right.
I'm wondering, what is it then?
So this is, these are conceptual books. Okay, so these are conceptual books, and these are concepts which I want to slowly imbibe within me.
Mm-hmm.
And I am interested to know my own opinions about it, and how this is going to play for me in the way I think, my uniqueness with respect to that, that topic. What would happen if I get into a conversation with someone who knows about this topic?
Sure.
How this will the whole thing will be playing out with me coming into the picture and having conversation around it. I think it's been an interesting part for me, and I'm kind of looking forward to it. So that would be the space.
Okay. So your ability to converse with people about that, around that topic?
Not just the conversation, my own understanding of the concepts is something that I'm looking forward to. Okay. The conversation will be a bonus out of the whole thing, and I will be able to talk about it. So,
okay. Sam, then the question that comes up for me is, how is understanding the concept, conversing with people based on that concept, or understanding of that concept, and finishing a book, how do they hold together?
So for example, in my line of work, I do meet a lot of people who seem to be well-read on certain topics. So there are conversations which they have started. I'm able to kind of gather what they have to say, and I learn a lot from others, by the way. So I tend to observe, and I tend to learn about what their opinions are about a particular topic, and I try to kind of gain that. However, that leaves me with the thought that, okay, here is a topic that somebody is talking about. You know about this topic, but you have a feeling that you stop yourself, that you're unable to talk because you know you haven't completed it fully. And there might be some other nuance of this which might be coming out of the opinion. So you don't want to talk a half-baked story, right? You want to make sure that you kind of read something thoroughly, right? So that's where the reading thorough, understanding of the topic, and ensuring that it's also part of a good conversation where a lot more learning can actually happen comes in.
Okay. So I've heard one piece around why is it important for you in terms of that you should be able to converse with people.
Right.
And people who have more read than you are, and they know the topic more than you are. I'm wondering what else is there which makes this important to you?
The concept of reading, the habit of reading, the concept of reading. I'm not reading uninteresting books. I've got some good topics to read about, and everything seems to be. So with the amount that I have actually read right now, there are some very beautiful, realizations that I got for myself. Things that I could apply in what I'm doing. Things that could make a difference to me in my life, in my path that I've actually taken up right now. And some plans that I actually had about getting into book reading itself, that has also kind of come up in the whole way. So hence it's creating some form of an importance right now.
Okay. And so while that is how it will impact your life from a positive angle, I'm also curious to know, what are you not getting as of today by not finishing those books?
A sense of completion. A sense of accomplishment, I think, for me. That I've taken a book, I've read it, okay, this book is done, right? And sense of accomplishment that I have kind of got that. And a topic which I'm able to thoroughly have my opinion about, right? For myself. Maybe the starting point is myself, and it so happens it's part of a conversation, why not? So that's the whole two places, which is missing this time.
Okay. And how is that making you feel not able to accomplish?
Just a splinter in my head. It's constantly, which is there. So the feeling of you have like, okay, you have to finish this. Okay, you have to kind of put that effort. See if you can kind of have some form of way to accomplish that or complete one of the topics. So it's a splinter. I just don't want the splinter with me.
So this splinter,
Mm-hmm.
right? What do you already think is stopping you from taking away this splinter?
What is stopping me is maybe a particular time for me to read. Maybe I'm yet to figure out what is my time, my reading time. I'm yet to figure that out. I do have places for other things like my morning prayers. So I have a particular time for it. I make sure that I do that. My workouts, I'm able to put that time and make sure that working out is actually happening. Food, that is actually happening. But a reading time, I feel I need to be in maybe it's a mood. I think there is a reading mood for me.
Okay.
And then once it actually happens, I'm into it completely. But for it to happen, it does not very naturally happen. And it takes a bit of a time and effort. Like everything is done, complete, and I'm like completely, I've reached. So I never get bored, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a point when there is, okay, I was supposed to do something, but I guess there is nothing available right now. And then I can actually think of a book. That's a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
So that is one thing. The second I've actually noticed is I read a lot when I'm traveling. So, when travel stops, reading stops. Travel starts, reading also starts. So that actually happens.
Okay.
So I guess it's about the mood and time, which is there right now with respect to the reading. And that might be stopping me.
Okay. And so time you have given us an example.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of mood?
Okay, so mood is the concept of reading thoroughly. The mood for reading thoroughly. How do I explain that? The mood for me to not just read something, but to study them, to study it, to learn from it. That mood is very different mood. I can't read that book. The books that I actually have, I'm not reading for entertainment. Right? There are few pages which I might have read as entertainment, but the holistic book, I don't want to kind of put that effort. So it's the non-entertainment factor. It's a study mood. Mood for studying, mood for reading, mood for learning. That.
Okay. So, Arvind, we have been doing some exploration.
Yes.
It's been some time.
Yes.
I'm wondering, what do you want from this conversation today?
So, if I am, and this was excellent exploration, by the way, I got some new thoughts about what I'm really looking for. If I get an opportunity to maybe arrive at either an acceptance that my version of reading a book is okay, that I can be in multiple topics at the same time and need not finish it, and it will happen, some form of an assurance, if that could actually happen, or a realization that this habit of mine is not going to lead me to the kind of studying and reading that I want to do, and I might have to put in some very important effort into maybe creating a schedule, putting it into a calendar, make sure that I actually read and all of that. In fact, the minute I think of that, it is not sitting well with me right now as I'm saying it to you. But I believe it might help me if either of these two happens in this conversation today.
Okay. So either you get the clarity that the version that you have today is okay, wherein you're reading multiple books, you're not finishing the books, and that is okay as a version.
Right.
Or you get an understanding saying, I need to figure out a way of finishing books which might need putting in effort, which is still already not working for you in your mind.
Yes.
Okay. Where do you think you are in terms of this clarity as of now?
So at this time when I say it, I feel the first part is better, that it's okay, let it happen as it needs to happen. So what if you do not have to kind of complete a particular topic? So what if you do not have that opinion? It'll happen in its own version.
Sure.
That's really settling me and making me feel comfortable with my conversation today. The second part of it, I think it's coming a lot from the need for me to read up, right? And to study these topics. And I don't want to keep this very serious. And that seriousness is what is stopping me to put that as a schedule, right? However, I don't want to end up in a situation where well, I don't think there is any form of I don't think if there is certain questions that are coming up, say for example, I conduct I talk to coaches these days. I conduct coach training certifications and so on and so forth. So if there are questions that are kind of coming up specific to those topics, I feel responsible that I should be able to at least talk about them or answer them. I think that is one maybe a need for me to kind of put that into a schedule. But the minute that schedule actually happens, I feel I might not enjoy the whole process of this reading. I like the current way of multiple topics, but it's just that small dilemma that I'm kind of going through in the whole process of completion and non-completion.
So while the first piece is already sitting comfortably with you, the second piece you are not sure of.
Not sure of. And would it be the need of the hour? Is something. Maybe there is some form of a need that might come up for myself, which might trigger that whole process saying that, okay, here is where your need is, based on which you need to put this into a schedule.
Okay.
Now I have not found that need. As I'm talking to you also, I don't seem to be finding the need for me to put that into a schedule. But it will be nice to build that as a habit, as part of a schedule. That's one thing, because there are so many things which I felt I will not be doing till now. Say, for example, a workout or anything, but now I've been able to put it into a schedule and it seems to be going pretty well. So that feeling is one of the needs that I might actually have. Okay, here is book reading, and that also you've been able to put into a schedule and are doing a good job of it. Maybe just my own pat on the back. Okay. So if I arrive at one of these things, that will be perfect in today's conversation.
So I would want you to rephrase, what do you want for today?
So here is what I'm looking at. I'm sticking to the same thing. One, the current version of me going through multiple topics at the same time and reading in my own time and in my own version of how I would actually need, even though I'm not finishing it, is considered okay for me. And I drop this entire dilemma within me from now on, from today, either that, or I find a very important need for myself that I need to put this into a schedule.
Sure.
And only schedule might actually help, and the need will start pushing me towards it. These are the two areas that I feel I will arrive at.
Okay. And how will we know we have arrived at?
I think in the way you're doing this exploration today, if you continue the same thing, I just have a gut feeling that I might be able to arrive at either this need or the need for, either a need which will help me to identify about the schedule,
sure,
or continue in the same path, being in the comfort zone.
Okay. And what should I ask you at the end? Because you're saying it's gut feeling. So how do I check your gut feeling at the end?
maybe there will be a moment which might kind of trigger the entire process.
Sure.
So, Rajat, for me, I think I do a lot of self-reflection.
Okay.
Your conversation with me will just support that self-reflection. Either I will very clearly tell you that while I have done enough of reflection, I haven't arrived at it. And maybe we can have a conversation later again on the same topic till I figure this out. Or I think the minute I find that need, it might be an aha moment. At that time, I will inform you that I have received it.
Okay.
So you just check with me at the end of it on both these areas.
Okay.
As to where am I
at
the end of it, and I'll be able to answer that.
Okay. So I should check with you saying, have you gotten some self-awareness, which is good enough for you in this session to arrive at what you wanted?
Right.
Or I check, do you had an aha moment during a conversation?
Yes.
Either of those will mean
that I have arrived somewhere in this conversation.
Sure.